All righty. Good afternoon and good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm plagued by bad weather, so if you hear some rattling or thundering, don't worry. Nobody's about to kick in the doors. It is just Mother Nature letting us know she is here. We are joined again by Mr. Bob Ramsey, and we had a great show. The numbers are way up on that. And Mr. Bob was speaking to me afterwards and said he realized he had left out quite a bit of interesting information. And besides the two war stories that we're going to be covering, but we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it here. And we're going to hand it off to Mr. Bob right now. Bob, thank you for joining us. I hope you're well, and the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Bud. Yeah, I'm went over some stuff after we talked yesterday and discovered, especially since people had said they were interested in not so much uh, war stories, but some of the stuff just about special forces in general. So, yeah, I want you to know right away, though, I don't consider myself first generation by any stretch. I consider myself the second generation. So, they can put that on a ruler and kind of figure out that. The original bunch started in '52, and so I was, some years after that. But I want to go back a bit to when I first got into special forces. I was in the last bunch that were accepted because they were NCOs, and it wasn't shortly after that they saw that Vietnam was building, and they were going to set up the third Special Forces Group and the sixth Special Forces Group. And this is around 1961 or even 62, I believe. And they started accepting all ranks. No longer was it a requirement to be an NCO. But that's how I got in. If you remember, I told yesterday about getting a blood stripe. So I was a buck sergeant, and and as a buck sergeant, they gave me an air control team. I didn't explain that. So an air control team in the 82nd Airborne Division was that I had a Jeep, a radio operator, and this big mess of radios, and an Air Force lieutenant would join us, and we would be the forward air controllers for the battlefield. And I never got into combat with that setup, but I did learn a lot about controlling close air support. And I mentioned yesterday that would go to serve me very well. And I'll mention that when we talk a little bit about Task Force Prong or the dry lake bed, because I definitely was able to call on that experience. But one of the things that no, let me back up again. Sorry.
You're fine, sir.
I was taken into special forces, and I said yesterday that they didn't have a training group or a school or anything, and they assigned me quickly to Delta Company of the 7th. We had changed from the 77th to the 7th. I was assigned to Delta Company along with some other new guys. Well, I spent 2 years there from I left there in '62 when I was with a bunch of people shipped down to Panama to form the 8th Special Forces Group. But in that couple of years, they didn't let us just sit around in the barracks. We were in schools constantly. I was in O&I. O&I back then, the teachers were names like Casada and Darcy and Gaffney and Meadows, all original guys with significant experience in the early SF.
And
And
O and I, for
yeah,
those that don't know, that is operations and intelligence. Is that
correct,
correct? Correct.
correct, yeah. And that became my MOS as well, 11B in infantry operations and intelligence. And but not just O&I, we all went to serious cross training too. Like we went through the radio school, radio operator school. We all had to learn how to take send and receive Morse code and use all the radios that were available to us at the time, which were little tiny things that the OSS had used. And we learned all about all kinds of communication setups and everything. The mission, if you remember, of Special Forces had been guerrilla force, okay? But in the time I'm talking about, when they have graduated into taking a bunch of people in and forming the other groups, we had added on the mission of counterinsurgency. That's what the 8th group would be about. You'll see that. So a couple of other things while I was there waiting for 1962. That's where I first met Dick Meadows too, and Paul Darcy. But I served with both of them in the 8th. I got to be really good friends with Dick Meadows for one. I'll tell you about that though.
Both FOB2 legends, might I add.
Yeah. Okay. And but some of the funny things that happened that I wanted to bring out was a lot of people never heard of the bear pit. The bear pit was a big hole in the ground lined with sandbags, and it was big enough to hold a team. They put a team in there, and the last one out was the winner. And this went on until they decided it was too dangerous. There were people getting hurt, and that is very true. But that was quite an experience, and it was interesting how people would develop strategies, to team up on different people, the strongest ones out first, and that kind. It was amusing, but they finally shut down the bear pit. Another really strange one that I remember was having us put on the long cross-country skis. Now we're talking about Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So hardly any snow there to deal with. So they had us practice on pine needles.
Oh, gosh.
I can't say that I learned a thing about cross-country skiing, but that was another funny one I wanted to mention. And but here's a biggie here, Bud. President Kennedy came to Fort Bragg. He saw the 82nd, and then he came over to see us. And there was a demonstration set up for him out at Mott Lake, just on the outskirts of Fort Bragg. They had different setups for him to see what Special Forces was all about. And on the patch that we have, the 3 lightning bolts stand for air, land, and sea. And so we had a demonstration team that did each one of those things and paraded right in front of President Kennedy. I was on the land demonstration team. So we just had a big rucksack on with our weapons and everything. The rucksack was just full of a blown up air mattress, by the way. And then we went off and stood there. I could see General Yarborough talking to Kennedy, but couldn't hear him, too far away. But the Mott Lake one was helpful too, because they had this guy that was out on a floating platform out in the middle of the lake, and he had one of these devices that it looked like scuba tanks with motorcycle handbars on it. And he would trigger this thing, and it would take him up in the air, and then he would fly over and sit down right in front of President Kennedy. Now, we practiced his demonstration, so we saw this knothead collapse a couple of times before he made it. But thankfully for the real thing, he was able to land gracefully and stand and didn't fall over, and got a big hand for doing that. Right after the Kennedy visit, the next significant thing that happened was, you can hear my dog. Katie, she's very protective of me. And but the next thing that happened was, we knew, the rumors were that the General Yarborough was going to ask for the Green Beret. Oh, yeah. Well, the next thing we knew is we were all issued a Green Beret, and we stuck it in the small of our back under our belt. And then we were formed up on the parade ground there on Smoke Bomb Hill. And it was the whole 7th group. And they did the honors of establishing the formality of the parade ground formation. And then came the command, don the parade. And we were supposed to take our field cap off of, which was always the uniform cap for SF until the beret, and throw it up in the air and put the beret on. So I got to be in the formation for the very first berets, you know.
Wow.
I think this had to be 1961, I think. So
and this was at Fort Bragg? This place at Bragg?
Smoke Bomb Hill, right at Fort Bragg, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, let's see. And they also, at this time, had set up Camp McCall. Camp McCall had been a World War II post where they trained, but hadn't anything gone on there until Special Forces grabbed it and set it up as a base for the field training that went on out there. So they started training group before I left there, and they would take the new guys in and put them through the training. Basically, it was kind of the same training that I went through, except it was it all came under the umbrella of the training group. And then they would have to do a field exercise at the end of it and do a long patrol. They would have done land navigation out there and patrolling techniques and things like that. So McCall was up and running, and it got to be a major part of the Special Forces school system in later years.
When did the JFK Special Warfare Center come about?
Oh,
was that a later thing?
Yes, it was, because I really don't remember when it first came about. And it might have had a name before that even. I don't know. I will have to look that up and try and figure it out, get back to you. I just don't know. I can't remember. Because it wasn't the JFK's, or maybe it was. I'm stumbling here. Okay, the next big thing that happens to me is going to the 8th group in Panama. And just real quick, we got on a train from Bragg. This was 1962. Got on a boat, the Geiger, a troop ship, took us down to Panama. On the way, we stopped at Guantanamo and Puerto Rico. And the stop at Puerto Rico was kind of interesting because we had one level of the troop ship, all of SF on there. And when they loaded their cargo, when we stopped at Puerto Rico, they also were loading a lot of beer. Well, SF being very clever, you know, they stood around the hold because the stuff would be dropped down through the hold down into the bottom cargo area. Well, all of the SF guys, not me, of course, you know, was grabbing beer, and pretty soon the whole potentially 8th group guys were all intoxicated, but nothing bad ever happened to that. Nobody was court-martialed or anything like that. So when some of the notable things that I wanted to mention about the 8th, which I didn't do yesterday, is one of the best things that we had, Bull Simons became the group commander down there. And you don't have a bigger name than Bull Simons in Special Forces. And actually, I got to be kind of friends with Bull Simon, not in a formal military way, but we both had joined a pistol club that was part of the Canal Zone setup. And we got to know each other from our love of shooting handguns, pistols. And so I got to know him a little bit there. And he remembered me some years later, after Sante it was, that I saw him at a gas station, and I was pleased to know that he remembered me. But some of the things that went on there in the early days of the 8th Group was, number one, those guys I mentioned, like Dick Meadows and Paul Darcy and those guys, they were in A company with me. I was on A2, and Dick was on the next team. So we got to do a lot of training together, field problems together, and stuff like that. Got to know Dick pretty well, especially since we became hunting and fishing buddies. Mm-hmm. He was older than I was, but something clicked, and who was that?
I think that's Bull.
Yeah, it is Bull Simons with that weapons container on there, 457. I don't know what that was a picture of. So, oh yeah, there he is.
I think there's some of his drawings. I'm on the old school Special Forces rally point. But anyway, I apologize for that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I've not seen those. I like seeing that stuff.
I'll send these to you.
So, where was I, bud?
In Panama, you're
hunting fishing with Dick, and we did a lot of hunting and fishing things. I'm not going to go over that though, because that's too far out of SF. But one of the other interesting things that we did when we first got there, the initial group that went down there was a small group that was to set up the barracks and the offices and everything for us and do an orientation. Well, part of the orientation was a demonstration of the different things you could use to survive on in the jungle, what you could eat and what you shouldn't eat, and what to be afraid of and what to be okay with. Well, I remember that orientation for one simple reason. When we went through there, these evil devils that set this thing up got a small monkey and skinned it, the head on it, and had it on a spit, turning around over charcoal. And it evoked the human taboo against cannibalism with everybody. Everybody was supposed to take a little pinch of the monkey, and I will say I did. And I think everybody, they might have spit it out. I didn't see anybody throwing up, but what a nasty little thing that was there. But I think that's a standout thing in my memory.
Oh, absolutely.
And talking about survival, another thing they did to teach us about survival in the jungle was they took us out to an island in Gatun Lake. And the island was just a piece of the jungle, okay? Well, in the middle of Gatun Lake, I must add. So we were cautioned not to take anything with us, except, basic things, no food, they allowed us something to make a fire with, and some fishing line and hooks. Well, we got on this island and we couldn't find a damn thing to eat. And we were out there about a week but made so much noise about starving to death that they called the exercise early and took us back in. We couldn't even catch any fish. And,
wow.
So as survival Green Beret experts were not that whatsoever, but it did teach us some stuff there.
Wow.
Another fun exercise that the Bull set up was a POW situation. What happened was that we had a team that went over on the other side of the isthmus and acted as aggressors for one of the infantry outfits over there. And this guy got captured. And what they did with him is they put him in a duffel bag and quickly discovered this guy had severe claustrophobia.
Ooh.
And so the guy just said, hey, whatever, I can't, So it was demonstrated that there are things that would break a person and allow them to talk just to get out of a situation. So what was set up by the Bull was this. They went to an old unmanned coastal artillery battery, this old big concrete structures that had these huge coastal artillery guns in them at one time. ammunition lockers. Everything was dark and nasty and had iron bars over everything. Well, it was set up that they put a force out on the site, and the instruction was to set up a bunch of discomfort exercises for people. Some of them were pretty awful, pretty stupid too, like the one kneeling on a edge of a 2x4 for as long as you can stand it. That might have hurt somebody's knees in the long run. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a number of discomfort exercises that they did like that. And it was set up where a team was supposed to go on an exercise, and they came down this road and were captured, ambushed and captured. Well, they must have said, known to play along with the exercise, but they had no idea what was facing them, because they were stripped naked and they were put into this thing and put through all of these exercises. And there was also, by that time, the 8th Group had an intel unit attached to it. Oh. And so we had these professional interrogators, and they did all of this stuff like that to frighten people and to make them so uncomfortable that, the lesson that we took out of that, though, was, don't get captured. And,
would you kind of call this an early form of SEER training?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
And, but a very primitive one, and one that was very dramatic, I might add, because of this stuff. Some of that stuff hurt people,
Oh, absolutely.
And some of it, people would carry those memories for a very long time. But do I see on your wall a Grateful Dead poster?
Yes, sir. Right next to my SOA quilt. Yes, sir.
I've always been a Grateful Dead fan. Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna like this then.
Yeah. Okay. Another fun thing that I remember. Oh yeah. Wow. Okay. You too. All right.
I'm full-blooded.
Okay. Another extended field problem and we were supposed to develop a guerrilla force, and we were taken way out in the middle of the jungle on the other side of the isthmus and let loose with an A team. Chuck Fry became the team leaders. He would become a boss of mine later on in the Mike Force. And again, they gave us rice, and that's all we had to eat. We were supposed to provide for ourselves. Well, us expert Green Berets could only find oranges that grew wild, and the only thing we could catch were armadillos. So we ate a bunch of armadillos, And in fact, Chuck Fry developed this funny thing when we were trying to do the publicity stunt, or the propaganda stunt, for the guerrilla force. In Spanish, it was an armadillo for each table, armadillo por cada mesa, and that was our slogan for that guerrilla force. And don't you want to know what they tasted like? But
I do. I actually do.
All of that stuff. We had to. There's Chuck Fry. Yeah, look at him. I'm wondering where that is right now. He's got a bunch of medals there.
It says after a battle with the 1st Cav in '67.
He came to the Mike Force after serving as company commander in the 1st Cav.
Holy moly! Oh, yeah. There's a recon.
Yeah,
that's from 24. I'll save these. These are great. Wow.
Yeah, they are that. And
what a legendary man.
Yeah, again, I've lost my place here with talking armadillos. I remember. Sooner or later, everybody had to eat snake, had to eat iguanas, and all of that stuff to me tasted exactly alike, kind of like a fishy tasted chicken, Not gourmet stuff, at all, but you could find those iguanas for sale live on the streets of Cologne and Panama City. And the local natives would hunt them with dogs, because an iguana, if it was chased for so long, would suddenly stop and play dead. There's some other wildlife that does that. I can't think of what I think a possum does that too.
Certain goats.
And they would take the live iguana, and then they would take its long fingers or claws and tie them together with another. Oh, that was so awful looking, poor iguana. And they would sell them. A lot of people bought that stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Well, the natives anyway. I don't ever remember any gringo buying a live iguana though. So anyway, I'm at the point where I'm just about through talking about the 8th group, except I talked to you yesterday about having done a number of counterinsurgency missions at different countries there. I won't go over that again. I did it yesterday, but I went on quite a few counterinsurgency missions throughout South America and even Central America and the Caribbean. Dominican Republic was one of the places.
Oh,
so Vietnam was going on by that time, and we got the first veterans of Vietnam, Special Forces Vietnam guys back, showing up as replacements in the 8th group. And they had done 6-month tours, and I think all the ones I knew had served in A camps. But anyway, they showed up, and we got a lot of information about what went on over there. Well, one of the ones I heard about was the Mike Force. I wanted to go to a Mike Force. You had to volunteer to be in a Mike Force, plus you had to be accepted. And so it wasn't just volunteer and there you go, So I told you yesterday, and I'll repeat this one. A dear friend of mine who's long deceased, and I went over on the same plane and everything, and wound up in B Company and 2 Corps, the Central Highlands. There's one Mike Force in each of the 4 Corps areas. And so we were the 2 Corps Mike Force. At that time, we had 3 infantry companies that were comprised of mostly Rade Montagnards. And they were organized like a typical infantry company. And at that time, though, we only had World War II Korean era weapons. So we had the old A6 machine guns, we had carbines, we had M1s, we had BARs. The BARs were a serious weapon. That is the most accurate automatic weapon I have ever fooled with. But they were too big and heavy for our Montagnards, And so a lot of them wound up with carbines. Well, that's going to go on to not be a lot of fun for us, because that would take us out to an assignment. Do I need to go over what we were about, the Mike Force again, Bud, or is this?
You don't have to go deeply, but yes, sir, a little bit of a.
Well, Mike Force mission was we were the white hats, the rescue guys. A camp come under siege, that was us. Somebody get in trouble, a patrol out in the jungle, that was us. Somebody needed to get their casualties picked up, okay. A pilot down, okay. All that kind of stuff. And we were supposed to do it with these 3 infantry companies. And of course we, did serious training with these guys too. And so we were assigned a mission of providing security for the 1st Infantry Division, moving between them and the Cambodian border, doing flank security as the 4th ID moved north. And so we got prepared for this mission, and a pretty standard mission. We would go down in standard infantry formations, and we were helicoptered into an LZ, and we got off. We formed up on this. Now this is Task Force Prong, okay, and we moved off of this LZ into the jungle, and we hadn't gone in there. The whole company hadn't even got in there before we slammed into a anti-aircraft platoon. They dropped their 12.7s and all their gear and took off. We got a few of them, but the bulk of them escaped. And but we did get all their weapons like that. So when people hear that the Mike Force captured a 12.7, it made it sound like we did something heroic to get them. Well, we didn't really, you know. It was kind of a fortuitous experience. The one was, the team leader decided he was going to take the 12.7 and a couple of prisoners we took back to the rear area. So the 12.7 got in the rear, and when the group commander at the 5th in the Trang, that's it there, he wanted it. So he got the 12.7. The thing wound up at the museum on Smoke Bomb Hill, and there it is right there with me standing in front of it. I think I was a little overweight there, but
come on now.
I don't remember what year that was, to tell you the truth. But that was one of them. That was actually one that we picked up. And with the tripods and everything, we never did understand why they didn't use the things, because they were set up to cover an LZ and shoot down helicopters and stuff. They didn't. They ran, you know. So we continued moving into the jungle and moving north along certain axes, providing this security for the 4th ID. We kept bumping into small groups of NVA, and we took them all down. You know, they didn't stand a chance with these small groups. Our people were good. You know, those Montagnards were serious jungle fighters. And there was, I think 6 Americans, include myself. And I was typically the 3rd company commander, except on some missions where they had assigned an officer. Well, this was Captain Robert Jacabelly that was the commander, and he had us moving along north and putting out security and moving north to see what we would run into. And like I say, we kept running into small bunches of them and kept putting them down, capturing a few more prisoners and things like that. We didn't make any pretense of hiding from anybody. They knew we were in there. And there was a certain point that I told Jake that I think they are tracking us, because I have seen a couple of times off in the distance people watching us, you know. Well, it's a number of days, and we arrived at this dry lake bed. In some of the books, they call it
Polywally.
Some of it, they say it's called a Polywally Doodle. And but anyway, we set up along the. Now I'm going to talk about this battle a little bit. I didn't want to, but you said you want to know.
Go. We're here. Go ahead, sir.
No hand-to-hand combat, okay? And so we set up along the edge of the dry lake bed, not in the middle, of course. And as the day was closing in, Jake decided that he wanted a platoon on the other side of the lake bed, which turned out to be a very, very good idea, and I'll tell you why. So I took a platoon and went across to the other side there, discovering a major trail. I mean, this thing could have taken a Jeep down it. It was so big. And it was also an intersection where we decided to set up. So I set up ambush fashion on this spot, and night closed in. We had our claymores out. We had guards posted, everything like that. So I'm sitting there throughout the night waiting for the day to break. And just as there's a tiny, tiny bit of light beginning to appear, a machine gun, one of our machine guns starts off. And I get up there a few feet forward and see that there is a formation like 4 abreast North Vietnamese soldiers marching towards us on that trail. Well, I had set up that if we needed to pull back to the parent company across the lake bed, that I was going to shoot off a green flare. And so after blowing the claymores and, causing them a bunch of casualties right off the bat, I fired that green flare. And lo and behold, from their side comes another green flare. What? Who did that? I didn't do that. What a thing. They did that as their signal for pulling back. So I don't think we ever saw them again, because they would either had to cross the lake bed, or they would have had to have gone around the tip of it, which would have been a long way, and then come back around to where the company was. Well, what happened was that company, and we found out this much later, that NVA formation was supposed to set up where we were, guarding and providing a blocking force, because on the other side, the company by this time was being attacked. We were surrounded basically by a reinforced infantry battalion. And they also had a weapons outfit. I don't know whether they call it a platoon or not, but they had like small mortars and a lot of RPGs. And so they started attacking our perimeter on the other side of the lake. Well, Jake wanted us back with him. And so I took the platoon across I really worried about getting on that lake bed, afraid somebody would see us and shoot us, but they didn't. And we got over there. Oh, I forgot to mention Frank Huff was also with us with this platoon, and he brought up the rear and I led out the front to get over to the other side. Well, from there on, it basically was fighting off these infantry assaults. And Lieutenant Jacabelly took a bad hit right in his solar plexus, and we had to get him back to security, and we had to get him medevac. We had Danny Panfil, our medic, fortunately was with us, and he kept Jake alive with IV fluids and stuff like that. And we were able to get a helicopter in there. And, but I don't know that I need to say a whole lot about the battle itself, because they kept at us until we were able to get air support in there. And we were fortunate to do that, because we were out of artillery range, and we had tried to get artillery in there, but we were out of range. But they did get us close air support in there. And this is where my training that I talked about in the 82nd comes to play, that I know how to handle aircraft in a close air support role. And so we have fast movers, we have A1Es, and they're coming in there, and they drive the bad guys off of us. And they just flat left. And after they left, the 4th Infantry Division sent a company in to join us. Been nice of it to send them in when there was some problem going on, but they didn't. They sent this company in, and they set up their security, and one of the things they wanted to do, they wanted to go out and police up the battlefield and drag all these bodies. We did in a whole lot of NVA soldiers. Well, when they saw how many were being brought back into the dry lake bed, they brought in this little mini bulldozer. I'm not kidding now. A helicopter brought this little mini bulldozer in, and they dug this great big pit. And that's where all the NVA bodies were placed. This later on became kind of interesting because, and I'll go ahead and mention this. It was way after the war, the NVA were getting better about returning our remains. Well, they were interested in theirs too. So I bumped into an outfit online that was looking for anybody that knew where any kind of military graves were. Well, I told them about that mass grave, and then there was a big effort by the North Vietnamese to locate it. Well, I put it on the damn map exactly. I knew exactly where it was, but they claimed that it was underwater and they couldn't get to it and stuff like that. Well, that was the wrong lake bed, fellas, so they gave up. They went back again, and there was some problem with their equipment, and they never did get. I'm doing an interview. Sorry about that.
It's fine, sir.
That startled me.
Yes, sir.
And so they went on and on and on, and then COVID hit. So that was the end of them trying to look for that mass grave. Never been found. That's really sad. I really wanted to help them with that.
I mean, it's and I've shared in the notes, and I don't even know if you've maybe seen this. I think you contributed to it, but on the 2 Corps Mike Force History Facebook page, there is an absolutely wonderful outline and write-up from June or September of 2013 that lays out everything involved and what happened, who was involved, and you're mentioned all throughout it, and it's mentioning that y'all are taking on elements of the 88th NVA Battalion, or is it the regiment?
I think that's right. Regiment. Yeah. I'm not sure I've read that.
Yes, sir. I'll here. Let me just show you what it looks like right here. It's great. It's got your name at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
I'm not too sure if that means you contributed, but yeah, I mean, this is wonderful. Clyde Sincere's report from the MikeHistory.org.
Clyde Sincere, that's his report.
And he
didn't get a lot of input from us. He told the story, okay? And when I told you on the other interview that SLA Marshall had written a section in one of his books, and I wrote him a letter saying I was a fan of his. Why did you not do your history by interviewing all of us like you always claim to do? And he said, well, I was busy, and I had one guy and to give me the information, and he got it from Clyde.
Wow.
So
I mean, you are mentioned all throughout it. I was actually kind of just reading along right then, and now that you mention it, references.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
West of Cambodia by SLA, Green Berets at War, which I mentioned, and I've not heard of The Silent Birdmen by Albert Rampone.
Yeah.
But if it's talking about this, I'm definitely going to look it up, though. But it's it's talking about another interesting part. You had mentioned how great the yards were doing, and it said one of it's specifically said your group of yards were manning a machine gun area, and they single-handedly held the edge. And by the time the battle was done, there were upwards of 30 to 50 NVA in front of them, where they would move them over and keep firing to keep them from overrunning the position.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, That people don't realize. I know SOG, and as well it should get the recognition it does, but the Mike Force guys, I mean, you guys were like Vikings. Y'all were called
It
in.
was combat.
Yeah, it was heavy combat. I mean, y'all were the original quick reaction force.
Yes, yep. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that label. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody calls, the Mike Force comes a running. So where are we at now? With
give me a time hack here. What are we looking at?
We just passed the 45-minute mark.
How much?
The 45-minute mark.
Well, I've got more left than 15 minutes, but you want to? This is probably a clean place to break it.
Okay. Let me see here if we've got any questions dealing with today.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be fine if there's some questions.
Yeah. And then we'll save we'll cut off for part 3 then. Okay. I've got 3 written down that I had. Let me see if anybody's got any before I go around here. That was about the JFK Center. Josh was curious, were any stories or operations in regards to you personally in Cuba, or did you hear of anything happening in Cuba in your day in South America?
Absolutely zero.
Yeah. Zero. Yeah, I've always been curious about that myself, Josh. Dang, so the Mike Force is kind of the most serious unit, right? Yeah, they absolutely. Every time they went out, they were guaranteed to be in a battle. That's the
what
only,
we were for.
Yeah, the only reason they were going out. And I've got a few here, and guys, if y'all got any in before we close for the day, get them in. With the Mike Force, this could also deal with SOG, but I'll ask in reference to the Mike Force. What was your favorite weapon and in other words, what was your go-to weapon on patrols and operations while in the Mike Force?
Car 15.
Yeah. Y'all did at this point in time, did everybody have Car 15s?
Yep, we got the first ones.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. At the time they got us to chunk all those World War II weapons. They issued us M16s and the M60 machine gun. Oh man, was that wonderful to get that decent machine gun. And because the other one jammed so bad. And so at the same time they gave the Americans the Car 15s. Yeah. Now, Bud, I say let's break it this time, but I have not talked about the Blackjacks, which were part of the Mike Force.
Well, we're here. If you would like to keep going for a bit, we can do the Blackjacks and then stop if you'd like to do that. Whatever you'd like to do.
Well, I'm thinking, though, the thing is that I talked about everything I pretty much wanted to say about the Blackjacks in our first interview.
Okay. Well,
so
that'll be fine then.
I'm saying let's say that my next thing is to return to Fort Bragg.
Okay, that'll be good.
Start from there next time.
Excellent.
Is that good with you?
That's perfect. Absolutely
okay.
Perfect.
Right.
And we all know from photos, both from A camps, Mike Force, and in SOG, about you guys having pets and all sorts of animals. Did you have any pets around the compound, or did any of your teammates have any pets? Dogs, snakes?
Only one time when Captain Fry came from the first cab, his company gave him a monkey, and he brought that monkey to the Mike Force. Well, everybody right away, the monkey, it was of great interest to the mountain yards because they ate monkeys.
They did.
Well, this monkey, they made a cage for it, but the thing would get out of the cage and get in the team house. And I remember one time we had this crazy guy, Barney Watson. Barney Watson had this little 25 auto pistol, and he one night comes screaming out there, chasing a monkey, shooting that little pistol. I don't know why he didn't shoot somebody, the monkey had crapped on his pillow.
Oh no.
Well, the next time that there was an absence and the monkey stayed behind, somebody, I don't know who was responsible for this, but it was an American, shaved the monkey with an electric razor.
Oh.
Well, that killed the monkey.
Oh no.
It got sick, pneumonia, the kind of thing, and died from it. And so that was the end of the monkey. That's the only pet I ever knew of in either SOG or the Mike Force.
Unfortunately, it seems like the monkeys, both in SOG and everywhere else, did not fare well. They
did not do well. I know it. Yeah,
they did not.
Jerry's that poor little monkey in the survival demonstration in Panama.
Oh yeah, I mean, it almost reminds me of Jerry Shriver's monkey. What happened to it? The yards got after it as well.
Yeah. Hey, I want to do one other little Mike Force thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, after we got out of the field from Task Force Prong, the yards wanted to have a victory celebration. Mm-hmm. Well, that meant that they just got a bunch of their rice wine, nampe, and a bunch of chickens, and but they needed a buffalo. Well, I got picked to go get a buffalo, so I took a platoon and we went out to one of the outlying yard villages where they had buffaloes, and we got there, and the yard started talking to the head guy and everything, or to somebody, not the head guy. Pretty soon the head guy was notified we were there, and he came up. He had this half-grown dog on a leash. Then he came up and he was giving it to me, and I thought, how nice that is. I'm going to have a dog pet and everything. No. Well, that dog was to be eaten. That was our lunch, and I saw how they fixed dogs, and it was nauseating the way they did it. But that was just one part. The other part is the buffalo story. I managed to buy this buffalo, and now came the problem that we hadn't thought about too much about how we go get it back. Well, I had brought a 2.5 truck to put it in. Well, how in the hell we go get a buffalo in the back of that truck? Well, we're standing around there, you can't make it jump or anything. So one of the buffalo experts out of the village came and said, yeah, you back the truck up to this dike, put the buffalo, walk up to the dike, and then he'll go in the truck, the flatbed. So that all worked fine, except the buffalo didn't want to get in the back of the truck still. Now, before I go on, I have to say that we were in sort of trouble with the B team commander because the Mike Force didn't have any vehicles, So if we wanted to go to town or go somewhere, we had to borrow one of the company commander's vehicles. Well, the last thing had been told us about one of their vehicles, you wreck another one and there's going to be a court martial. Okay. So back to the buffalo and the truck. The buffalo will not get in the truck. So we're stuck. I don't know what to do with the damn buffalo. I don't know a thing about them. They go get the buffalo witch doctor. And he comes up there and he has his sharp stick and he jabs the buffalo in the butt. And the buffalo took off, ran through the bed of the truck, jumped onto the front of it, smashing the windshield in the top, jumped off of it onto the colonel's Jeep, smashing it all up. So guess who had to go report to the colonel, But all I could say was, sir, buffalo jumped on it, He thought it was so funny that I didn't get court-martialed, but that was my buffalo story from there.
Yeah, I can only imagine. We've heard a few of the buffalo stories, and there's some of the Khartoum guys, the Hatchet Force guys, with their little buffalo.
Yeah, and that looks like a small one to me.
He does. He looks like he's a little bit of a runt for the ceremony. Yeah,
they have to. It has to be alive. the buffalo broke a leg, but still managed to get back so it could be brutally killed with spears and stuff. Oh, and then you have to sit there with your bare foot, and they put buffalo blood on the Americans' feet. Oh, that's a nasty mom pay. Oh, that stuff was awful.
Oh, I was just fixing to say, I know you've had your fair share run-in with the non-pay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't see one there, but they had this thing where they would put a stick across the lip of the mouth of the thing, and it would show how much had been drunk. So if you tried to cheat drinking the thing, they would say, no,
make sure nobody was cheating their way out.
Oh, well, another thing about the Mike Force there, I'll mention it too, because I just saw a picture of Martha Ray. Martha Ray came and spent several days with us. She was hardcore vodka drinker, straight vodka. She was a character. We also had Robert Mitchum come and stay with us.
Oh.
And Don Meredith, the quarterback of the
Dandy Don,
came and stayed with us. John Wayne visited with the Mike Force there. And it was always so funny because these people would come and get in the C team. The Mike Force had its own compound with a guarded gate. And the people would want to say, oh, let us come in and talk to Robert Mitchum. And we wouldn't let them in there. So, we were monsters. We really were.
She loved you guys so much.
Okay, Colonel. I saw Martha Ray again at CCN.
We were, and of course now that we're talking about it, I won't find it, but we were just looking at a picture of her and Captain David Carr.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. He was so young then. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. It was so amazing getting to see what all she did for you guys and how much she loved you guys.
I know it. Yeah.
There's Captain Carr and
who's that guy on the right there?
Yeah, that's a young bewildered bud in all that I'm getting to sit with you guys there.
David Carr, I met him. He was the recon company commander, and he looked like that picture you just showed us there. He had long hair, and I looked at him. I thought he was from Southern California. He was a surfer or something. I got to kidding him about that, and so ever since he learned what I said about that, we have gone back and forth with the surfing thing. He's a good guy. Yeah.
It's funny though you bring that up because he's got a great photo where he was put in an article where he's in tiger stripes and he's playing a guitar and it looks like a Beach Boys hippy dippy guitar, and it is absolutely wonderful. There's the young Captain Carr right there with Tony Poe.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Is that Buddha Grant?
That's Mr. Gerald Buddha Grant right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Another legend.
Yeah, I don't know who that mustache thing is.
That's the big infamous Tony Poe, the CIA man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know him. Yeah.
Captain Carr, Mr. Dave was working very closely with him in Vang Pao while he was in Thailand.
Yeah. David had an amazing background.
Oh, an illustrious career. He even went to Iraq and Afghanistan.
He got called up, and that's right.
You kind of just said it's literally. I had Martha Ray / John Wayne is one of the questions that the guys asked. And the Mike Force, the other two we're going to be dealing with SOG, and we do have one viewer question, but. The Mike Force had the distinct interaction with SAS and the Mobile Guerrilla Force. Did you ever cross paths with any SAS men while you were with the Mike Forces?
No.
And let's see, Terry.
We had there was a number of SF people that got to do the exchange program with SAS, and Dick Meadows was one of them.
Absolutely. I meant to ask that earlier on. Was this around the time early on that you knew Dick, that he had gone to the SAS training?
Yeah.
Wow. And he actually married his wife or met his wife over there, who was the daughter of a bigwig at SAS.
Sergeant Major's.
Wow.
Sergeant Major's daughter. I met both of them in Panama.
Wow. Okay. Man, well, I mean, that's just that is very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, we've got three more, and I'll let you go because we're hitting the hour
Okay.
mark perfectly.
All right.
Here's a question, Kyle. If it isn't too late, who was your favorite leader and why? And I'm guessing he's meaning ever. Who was your favorite leader?
Okay. Must I say a leader in combat or a leader in my career? If it's in my career, it's Ola Lee Mize, Medal of Honor winner from Korea. He was my last boss, and
Wow.
he was. I was a SF school sergeant major, and he was my boss. He was a school director, and he became a family friend. He would come over and eat my wife's fried chicken on Sundays. Yeah, there he is, and he is just a fine human being. Let's see, if it was combat, I'm going to probably say Chuck Fry.
Wow. I can see why on both of those because I've spoken with numerous men that served under Mr. Mize. I've only spoken to a few that served under both, but Mr. Mize always pops up as the consummate leader. And now learning about Mr. Fry, I can absolutely see why. And here's actually a photo from Panama that I just dug up.
Yeah, that must have been his infantry platoon there. Yeah. I actually stayed in the Army 2 more years than I had planned to, just because of working with Mize. I'd always wanted to planned to get out at 20. And so I say 22 just because of working with Colonel Mize.
That's a testament to leadership and working for him.
That's something.
Wow.
He loved his NCOs.
Wow. I love hearing that. That's wonderful. Alabama man. Josh, was there any large differences? Of course, SOG's a difference, but between the Mike Force and a Hatchet Force, other than the area of operations and
not really. Large differences. I don't think so. I never had the experience of going out with a Hatchet Force, but of course they were in a compound, and I saw. I was involved in all the operations that they were involved in, just by hearing the briefings and all the things that went on in the SOG headquarters, the CCN headquarters there. And so, no, I say no, just the area is different,
Other than being one being in SOG, I would say like Mr. Terry, who was at Khartoum with the CCCB company Hatchet Forces, he said it right on that it's the Hatchet Force equivalent for the A camps and other groups. So yeah, I both out there to mix it up. That's the only reason they're going out.
Yeah, exactly. Fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hit the hour mark, and I think we'll have a good one for.
Okay. We'll have to do another one because as long as I'm spewing out this stuff about myself, and let me close by just saying, I hope nobody taking some of this stuff as me bragging, because I admit that I've had so many great opportunities and I have taken advantage of them, so I hope nobody takes it wrong.
No, sir. You gentlemen are the furthest thing from braggarts or someone that brags. You're relaying history, and all you have to do if you want to see somebody brag is go look at some of these modern day podcasts, and you'll see what bragging looks like. And you are not bragging. We're appreciating.
You're quite right with that, bud.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done a good job with me interviewing.
Yeah, we'll have a good part 3, and that might be our wrap up, depending on how much we get to cover. But that'll be Fort Bragg and then a little bit of SOG, and we'll cover that in part.
Yeah, the 3rd of the 7th.
3rd of the 7th as well. Yeah. I forgot about that. I got to get back to digging some more photos up now.
Okay.
All righty. Well, guys, we are going to close it down, and we'll have part 3. You just keep your eyes peeled, and we will see you guys later. I hope you have a great evening.